Okay, so today's lab is going to be on pregnancy testing by detecting hCG using two different types of test kits. So the kit on the left is the SureView test kit made by Fisher Scientific, and it will test either a urine sample or a serum sample for hCG in a patient. The kit on the right is called the Rapid Response Kit, and this kit works a little differently in how you apply the sample, but the basic principle or idea behind this kit is the same. The Rapid Response Kit can only test for hCG in urine samples, so today I have a urine sample for testing in each kit. So the SureView hCG kit, if you look at your package insert, says that if you test using urine samples, you need to test the kit or time the kit for a total of 3 minutes. If you're using serum, it will be a total of 5 minutes. So I'm setting the timer for 3 minutes for the SureView kit. The timer for the Rapid Response Kit, which only tests for urine, should be set for 5 minutes. So I mentioned before in the explanation of serology kits that these kits come with what's called a cartridge, and the cartridge has a filter paper inside of it that is going to draw the sample through and across the reagents in the kit by what's called capillary action. I will explain to you the principle behind this on video following the testing procedure. So we have the same idea in the Rapid Response Kit, except that the Rapid Response test is actually on a stick rather than in a nice plastic cartridge, but the same idea applies. There's an area on this stick that contains a filter paper area that contains reagent for testing of hCG. So I'm going to perform both of these tests for you today and then explain what's actually happening. So the reason that we're doing hCG testing today is because these tests are actually immunoassays. There are antibodies attached to specific areas on the filter paper in these kits that are going to grab onto and bind to any hCG in the patient sample, allowing us to detect whether or not it is there. So for our urine sample today, I'm going to start out by adding sample to the SureView kit. So for the SureView kit, it says to add 3 drops to the sample well, and the sample well is the small well on the right side. So I'm going to add 3 drops, and I'm going to start my timer. And you can actually already see that the sample is moving across the testing area by capillary action, and it's coming into contact with the antibodies that are attached to the solid phase of the filter paper. With the Rapid Response Kit, there is a maximum line with arrows pointing to it here, and I'm going to dip the stick into the urine sample, but not above the maximum line, for approximately 10 to 15 seconds. This is going to start drawing the urine sample up into the stick and pull the sample across those immobilized antibodies on the filter paper, just like in the SureView kit. And you can see the sample is already starting to move up the filter paper as well. And I'm starting a 5-minute timer for that test. So what's happening during this time period? There is a control area indicated with a C and a test area indicated with a T. The control area will always show us a line because it is showing us that the patient sample traveled far enough through this space on the filter paper to come into contact with all of the antibodies that are attached in that solid phase. If you do not see a line in the control area, the test is considered invalid. The testing area will also show us a line if the person has hCG at high enough levels in their sample. So far, this sample looks to be negative, but we still have 1 minute left of our incubation before we can actually accurately read the results of this test. If you look at the rapid response testing strip, there is also a solid line in the control area at the top of the filter paper. And that control line is telling us the same thing as in the SureView kit, that the sample traveled far enough to come into contact with all of the antibodies in the testing area. Below the control area on this strip is the testing area. This one also looks negative, but we still have about 3.5 minutes left before we can accurately read this test. Of course, as with every test, these do have some limitations. The big limitation for a pregnancy test is that you have to have a high enough level of hCG to see whether or not there is actually going to be reaction with the line and show us a positive test. The SureView test does look negative at 3 minutes. Another limitation of these tests is that they should be read after the incubation period ends pretty quickly. If you wait too long, the filter paper area may start to dry up and have color changes that appear in the filter paper itself, which can alter whether or not you actually think you see a line in that testing area. So we're just waiting for the last 2 minutes to read our rapid response pregnancy test, confirming the negative result that we saw on the SureView test. Even though these are 2 separate kits, they do have the same sensitivity. You can pick up roughly the same amount of hCG in both kits. If you notice, the rapid response box actually says 20 milli-international units. That is how low this test can read hCG levels in a patient. If you remember from the hCG video from point of care testing last Thursday, hCG will be positive, showing pregnancy, but it can also be positive in certain types of cancer in men. Both of these tests can be used at the patient's bedside. They are waived, meaning anyone, basically anyone, can be trained on the job to perform these tests. For this lab, you are required to write out a study guide. You can use the SureView package insert in order to fill that out, because both of these kits will have the same principle, the same limitations, and basically the same procedure. And microscopically on that filter paper where the patient sample is coming into contact with antibodies, the same thing is going to be happening in both of these test cartridges or test kits. So use the SureView hCG package insert for filling out your study guide. The rapid response package insert is also in the PDF file on Moodle if you would like to take a look at that one also. So we have about 10 seconds left on the rapid response, and I'm still only seeing one control line, no test line. So both of these tests are showing negative reactions for this urine sample, or a negative test. The control performed in this test was internal because it was already built into the test kit, and we did not have to add a control to the kit for control testing.